know?
So, as a dad, what keeps you guys up at night, or as a husband?
That's a loaded question about the dad. There's a million things that keep me up at night as a dad, like especially as a dad that now has a kid that's driving out there on the roads. Like now we're worried about insurance, and we're worried about this kid who's new at driving. I don't want him out there wrecking a car, or B, running somebody over, or C, there's a million things. In just that regard by itself.
That's So what for? Because is Gabby driving?
Yeah, Gabby's driving.
So what is that like when they, you have them their whole life, and you got to keep them safe and comfortable, and maybe not comfortable is the word I'm looking for, but it's a different type of. What's that like when they leave the house and they have more freedom and you're not around like that?
I've had to go. My dealings with that are substantially different than probably most of your all's experience, because I had to accept the fact that Gabby was no longer my child for me to pass through that emotional phase when she wasn't coming around for 3 years. So when she came back, she was already at the age of 16, and I had let go of the fact that I had control.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time she came around, I realized, like, okay, you are your own person. You're going to make your own decisions, and it's my job to kind of be the guide or the guardrails for you. So for me, I don't stay up because she was already doing things on her own that was outside of my purview. I lost sleep when I had no clue what my children were doing when they weren't coming around. And now that they're around, and I had to be okay learning how to process through that, and I learned how to sleep despite the fact that I had no ability to influence their lives. But now that she's here, it's like I passed through that empty nest phase of life that we all pass through earlier than most other parents. And now I can just provide safe, direct feedback and provide guidelines with repercussions. So I get an opportunity to say, hey, if you can use the car and go driving, and I've seen that you operate it safely, but when you make a mistake, there are repercussions for that. So it's almost like I get an opportunity to develop her based under her own volition and the decisions that she chooses to make.
What about you? What's
And if you're watching this, Gabs, love you, kiddo. Sorry.
I don't know, because I overanalyze everything all the time.
Gasp.
And so,
Shocking.
like, everything keeps me up at night, but nothing keeps me up at night.
Say more.
What's that?
Say more.
So
What do you mean? What do you mean? Nothing.
Make that make sense.
Okay, talk to me like I'm 5.
so like I can get trapped in my own head very quickly and very easily. And if I stay in my head, everything will keep me up at night. But in similar fashion to what we talked about last week was, what does Jesus mean to me allows me to sleep at night. Because I have to I'm at the stage where, I mean, my oldest is 14, so like our relationship is beginning to transition from authoritative father figure to a little bit more of counselor, coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because like he's to the point where coming down with an iron rod doesn't necessarily work, but further drive a wedge.
Mm-hmm.
But coming down as a coach allows us to connect and for him to still learn from me. But yet my youngest is 9, so the iron rod still has to work there, right? So like I have to be able to pivot quickly to transition from coach to dad of a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then my daughter, well, she's all in a whole different realm all by herself. And it's coach and little dad or little kid dad at the same time. But because of where I'm at in my state in stage, like I get not concerned, but like I start thinking about the fact that Enzo's 14, and I got 4 years before he becomes an adult.
I'm not close to.
And
Well, I guess I'm getting there.
Yeah, you are.
You are.
And it's like we got to worry about cars, insurance. I mean, that's my profession, so like my head instantly goes to insurance, and it's like I don't want to pay $1,000 a month of insurance because I got a 16-year-old and I've got 3 late model cars. And Serena and I were talking about what would we put him on, and so like that kind of stuff is what keeps me up. And
So it's the provision.
it's the provision, it's the protection, because like it's winter. Winter is my least favorite time of the year because we heat not exclusively with firewood, but predominantly with firewood. And I've got a busy job, and getting home to cut firewood is difficult because I'm traveling. I mean, last week I was in my office one day the entire week, and it's because I was traveling all over up and down the region. And so it's keeping the house warm. And that constant like barrage of, I don't really want to pay a $500 electric bill to run the electric heat that we've got, but I got to keep the kids warm.
Yeah, it's
that stuff that keeps me up.
Tell them they couldn't live in my house. Tell them put a coat on.
cuddle.
my wife keeps it 60 degrees year round.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's just not human.
That's there's such the provision piece that is, I think it's safe to say, sometimes scary, but such a blessing to be able to do that. One turn of the economy, one decision that somebody else could make when it comes to whatever profession you live in, they could, hey, we're selling and locking the doors and everybody go home.
Yeah,
and you're
peace.
Yep.
like, oh, that's
Now-
on me now.
Yep.
Like it's been on me, but it's on me in a different level. And I think I don't ever really go down that rabbit hole, but that's always kind of in the back of my mind as keep providing, keep saving, make a net, make a safety net, and just
Last year, the company I worked for, literally the night before, the owner came in and said, "Hey, by the way, I sold you guys to a big corporation. Bye."
You're changing shirts tomorrow.
But
And that's literally what happened.
But you talk about that's now on me. That at the same time, like that is a comfort too. So like when I'm traveling, Serena talks about how like she doesn't sleep well when I'm not home, and she's like, it's just the fact that you're in the house means I can relax and I can pass out at 9 o'clock.
you could be on the couch and
Yeah, and where if I'm not home, and she's grown up in the house that we live, so I mean, that's not an issue there. And her brother lives next door. Her mom and dad live on the field behind us. Her aunt and uncle live on the other field, and then her cousin lives 3 fields down the other direction. But like, so it's not like a safety thing. It's just a comfort thing, and that my presence in the house means my wife can sleep.
it's a very humbling experience for a man to know that we offer that.
Yeah.
Amanda's the same way. And there's a piece that I don't quite understand, because as a man and as the type of man that I've grown up to be, I've always just provided for myself. I'd done what I needed to do, and when something wasn't provided for me, I made it. I provided it. I turned around and I did what I had to do to get what I needed. And that's not necessarily the way that that people function. And that's not necessarily the way that our wives function. Like in times past, Amanda has definitely done it on her own, and she stood up and made things happen on her own. That's one of the more attractive qualities of her, is that when she went through her divorce, she didn't lean on her ex-husband to get her through it. She didn't stay in that house. She went out on her own and made things happen. And that was such an inspirational thing to see her do that. But now that we have the relationship we have, it's the same thing, Jared. I think there's a really important point here, is the balance between roles and responsibilities of men and women. Amanda does so much for our household to keep it in order and to keep things running, especially with balancing 6 children and all of the things that go in the dynamics of having that. but then also balancing it between multiple households when we have other dynamics from the other parent houses influencing, and the balancing act that requires us to just live life like normal. Like going to a baseball game isn't as simple as going to a baseball game. It requires coordination with people that we have a contentious relationship with. And then making sure, and that relationship ebbs and flows, but making sure that those children have the things that they need is something that I don't have the ability to do because my focus is on providing the means.
So
And then there's one last point is there's a point outside of the things that we provide, but then there's also the structure. So as it comes down, the coach thing you were talking about, Jared, I facilitate more the role of like a high level strategic coach to my kids, whereas Amanda definitely pays attention to the day to day, the tactical stuff that they need. Like they need shoes. She knows all their shoe sizes.
The
She
high
knows,
end details.
Yeah, she knows all of the things that the kids actually care about, and it's amazing to see how intimate their
She
relationship
even knows
is.
our birthdays in our house.
Right. And her ability to actually connect at the relational level, whereas I'm not so strong at that. I'm more of the higher level thinking like, okay, cool. You're going to be out of this house in 3 years. What is it that I need to do for you to help to ensure that you're able to do that?
To give you an idea, like just on Amanda, just your wife on this is when, I hit to a point where I could care less whether I celebrate my birthday or not.
Right.
And she chastised me for it.
Amanda did?
Yeah. The first year I was like, because she's like, happy birthday. And I was like, oh, appreciate it. And that was kind of the end of it. And she goes, and Serena's like, yeah, doesn't really care. And she goes, all the crap that's happened doesn't mean you still shouldn't celebrate your life. I was like, yeah, I just don't really care. Like, and it's not that I don't care about life. It's just I just don't care about celebrating.
It's 'cause you're a dude.
It's another day. But
Yeah.
yet, like, that was something really important to her. But we go back to
Yeah, but when he turned 40, like you try to make a big deal about stuff, and he gets so ticked off about his birthday.
It's just 40. I'm the same way. I don't care about my birthday.
He won't go out to eat with you. He won't.
I won't go out to eat with you.
Yeah, because it's not the Capitol Grill.
No, it's because we end up at a Mexican restaurant and they do a little sombrero and put ice cream on my face and
Feliz cumpleaños,
I don't-
Daddy.
I prefer like I don't like any restaurant where they go nuts over the birthday stuff.
That's the whole point.
I don't like it. But
Yeah,
but we
I'm
go
right there with you, man.
but we go back to and I'm much more the subtle understated.
No, but I love embarrassing him.
We go back to like what keeps us up at night, and it's interesting is like you and I were talking about this when we were at High Falls.
Mexicans with sombreros.
Yes, and in that you and Newsom were passed out in your tents, and he and I were talking. And it's like I enjoy taking my boys hiking. Not really taking them overnight backpacking yet, but I mean I have, and where we stayed in shelters and things like that, but not deep miles into the woods. And I told Andy, I was like, I struggle with having them out there because I don't sleep because I feel like I have to be on alert for anything that could potentially come into camp. I was like, it doesn't bother me when it's like when we're out or if I'm out by myself because it's just me.
It's that responsibility.
But
dude.
You're turned
yeah.
on, man.
But-
you
but-
were freaking
But the
firing
moment,
on 10 cylinders.
right, with the moment that it gets dark in the woods, particularly in the sections of West Virginia that I like to backpack, if Sasquatch exists, he's on that mountain somewhere. And like, but it's
Skinwalkers.
Yeah, it's that I've got my children, my boys who I want to raise them in a manner that's more conducive of the yesteryears more than today's the way that kids are raised today. But like, so I want them out there. I want them to know how to make a fire from nothing more than bark and some twigs. But like at the same time, as a dad, it's still my job to protect them.
Yeah, I keep going back to.
And I am absolutely turned on. Like, you know what I mean? Like my senses are heightened.
Yep.
Everything about everything is now, what's that that
hyper awareness, man.
What's that stick that just broke? And
Yep.
you get out with a flashlight, it's a rabbit going across the thing. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Ground squirrel.
It sounds like a freaking bear going through the woods.
But it's
like,
legit, man. That when you are solely responsible and there's not four walls surrounding you, there's an element to that where, wow, I've got to make sure I'm on my toes to be responsive to anything.
these kids rely on me to get out of here alive.
And there's such a motivation. It was a year ago, this month, that I was looking around the house and I'm like, and it just me, for example, and my health where I was. I mean, I was over 300 pounds. And I'm like, this is not what a father looks like. He doesn't just sit around all day. And like, you work all day, and then I go home, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything now. I'm just so done. And I'm like, I don't want my daughter to think this is what a man looks like, or my son to think this is what a man looks like or acts like. It's like they motivated me to get healthier and to lose a bunch of weight and to go to the gym. And then it's like, well, yeah, that's physical, but now even spiritually, like, we read our Bibles. We study together. We have to reflect Christ to them and model what a man acts like and what a husband and how your daughter should be treated. And it's like, I'm that example for my children.
That example speaks more than anything. The way that I treat Amanda is going to be the way that my boys treat their wives in the future.
And your daughters know this is how they need to be treated.
That my daughters are going to see, oh, that's what a man looks like. That's what a husband looks like. Whatever I do well, that's what they're going to replicate. Whatever I do poorly, that's what they're going to replicate on both sides. That scares the crap out of me. Because there's days where I'm on point and there's days where I definitely am not. And even outside of that, in my weakest moments, they're watching those weakest moments and they're going to recall those things. But even when we fail, our ability to bounce back and that resilience,
our response to that
speaks volumes. How we respond to adversity is going to be something that they resonate on. Those are things I think about with my parents. The way they argued, the way they fought, the way that they communicated, the way that they kept the house together, the way that the distribution of work in the house existed. Like, I lived in the stereotypical women's work is women's work household. And that is not the way I live in my household. That's been something I've changed.
I find it interesting. I go back and I think of all the memories of my home life, and I never remember if there was a mess or not. Because I used to get hung up, and I still kind of do, and I'm trying to get better at it, is, hey, do the dishes. Hey, put that away. Why is your candy wrappers all over the counter and the table? And I get hung
stuff picked up.
And yes, I mean, there's a quality to
turn the lights off,
leaving it on, or cleaning up and having some self-respect.
Shut that door.
But they're not going to remember that. They're going to remember, man, my dad used to yell at me for putting something on the counter.
Right.
And it's like, don't get hung up on the messes, because
well, if the dishes need to be done, Dad would do the dishes. He didn't say anything about it. He would go and he would make it happen. So the focus now becomes the action rather than the fight or whatever the scenario is. And then you live that out through example. That's something we're actively playing with, and it's not a perfect science. Like, shoot, I just yelled at the kids last week. Hey, why is there an empty cup on the countertop? They will remember that, and it's going to annoy them. But it's like, put it in the trash, take the trash out. So instead of it being attached,
you throw cups away.
Listen, dude, we have disposable things for when people
paper
come,
plates
and the
cups
kids
is the best.
The kids come and they'll just start using the stuff for when guests come over, and now we have plastic cups laying around the house right now because we had a party a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
yeah, it's
Sam's Club Red Solos.
yeah. So no,
Greatest thing ever.
We're straight up like glasses all the time. So like they always get washed.
pinky up.
It's a good way to end the episode.